Okay, my name is Shai, and I created this procedural aerofoil simulation using just the nodes on screen. The actual shader is pretty simple, and it's mostly just a trick to make you think it's a simulation, because what you're actually seeing is a pretty simple manipulation of gradients. So let's look into how I did it. The actual main aerofoil shape is created using these two gradients here, which I'm combining and adding negatives to using some pretty simple math nodes. And because it's procedural, we can really easily deform the profile of this aerofoil. I use multiply and flooring operations and use that as a vector input for white noise, which will assign a random number for each layer. And after subtracting, using fraction and multiply operations, with some driver actions in the middle, we get this awesome shifting effect. I did some extra flooring and less than operations to shorten the lengths of these particles and colored it using these black and white masks. Then I covered up the middle with another aerofoil design and added some pretty simple distortion using noise. When it comes to making it look like a simulation, I multiplied the particles by the distance to change their scale. That means the particles farther away won't be affected by the aerofoil, and the ones nearby will. I also added it with this gradient, which increases over time. That means wind at the top of the wing is going faster than wind at the bottom. And now, if we look back at our curves, we can increase this height to influence the simulation in real time, which I think is awesome. To really sell the simulated effect, I pixelated the entire shader with this snap node. One issue I have with the shader is that increasing the speed on the top will make the lines compensate by stretching them out, and eventually, if I play this for long enough, they start reversing, as you can see here. But because it's all procedural, I can just increase the number of air particles and it still runs fine. I can also really easily increase the distortion that I get from the noise to make it feel like it's in a more turbulent environment. And as usual, I can just flip the colors super easily with these wheels. And of course, the aerofoil itself is fully procedural, so I can change the size pretty easily, although it's not intended for that. One detail is that I actually changed the seed value depending if it's above or below the aerofoil. Because if I don't do that, we get this symmetry that we see on the top and bottom, which just wouldn't be realistic for air particles. So I changed the seed on the bottom, trying to follow these lines pretty closely. So one of the main takeaways from this video is that you can make some really complex looking stuff using super simple inputs like gradients. And once you know the math nodes for this, it gets pretty easy to make. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed some of this node trickery you saw in this video. I may have even inspired you to use drivers like this one to get some cool time-driven effects in your own shaders. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.